What's up, everybody? This is just the intro for the battle items video. Get ready for a bunch of info. I may ramble, but also there's going to be some useful information in there. I will put graphics up all over the screen and stuff like that, so you can get good information, get good value from this video. Like, subscribe, and share if you did like the video. Alright, thanks. Battle items. The reason why battle items are going to be your first thing to focus on is going to be that when you're first getting into the game, like, there's a lot of players who have been playing this game for years, so you're going to have a lot of catching up to do. But when you're first getting into the game, battle items are going to be your most important thing to learn. You need to know what the other team has, which you'll be shown that before the match, as you may already know. But you need to know your teams and the other teams. You need to know who's running potion, who's running X speed, who's running eject button, whoever, whatever. Reason why is because if your defender, which God forbid, if your defender is running eject button, you should know that if your defender gets into a situation that is looking kind of sketchy and they're in front of you, I wouldn't count too much on the body blocking because their mindset is on running. So you need to keep in mind your battle items, held items, all that stuff, all the items in general, everything that you can see that it shows you is all going to determine your teammates' gameplay almost 90% of the time. Alright, so now you know a little bit about the battle items. Let's kind of delve into what they actually do. First off, we have eject button. It reads here that basically the description of eject button is that it quickly moves in a designated direction. So you hit the eject button, it's going to move you whatever direction you want to go. You can pretty much use it mostly for escaping ults. Sometimes you can use it to get some distance. Sometimes you can use it to clear walls and stuff like that. But that's generally what it does. It's got a 75-second cooldown timer. So, you know, it's, in terms of cooldown timers, it's not my favorite. 75 seconds is kind of a lot. I like a little bit more utility. I like the ability to use my items a little bit more. But everybody has their preference, and eject button may be yours. So second, we have Fluffy Tail. Fluffy Tail is going to apply a debuff to wild Pokemon for 3 seconds. The debuff disables the effective Pokemon's attacks and triggers an additional hit when the user deals direct damage to the target. At the bottom here it says, the additional hit deals 100% attack plus 60% special attack plus 10 times the level plus 100. And it has a 0.5 second cooldown. So short cooldown right there. Huge amount of buffs in there if you're really trying to like farm fast. If your character is somebody like Tyranitar, or I would say Gyarados until they buffed him, but really just somebody like Tyranitar specifically, you might want to run Fluffy Tail. If you don't want to be behind your team in terms of leveling, or you want to be ahead of your team in terms of leveling, I would go with Fluffy Tail. It's got a 25-second cooldown timer, so pretty useful. But yeah, definitely check out Fluffy Tail. Doesn't get used enough. So let's talk about Full Heal. Full Heal, I don't use it that much, but it is very helpful. If you're like juggling a lot, and say you're going from lane to lane, you have somebody who's got a ice debuff, you got somebody who's got a fire debuff, so you're getting a burn, you're getting frozen, and then say you even have a psych debuff in the same match. If you have something like a Full Heal, you're blessed. Like, Full Heal is really gonna save you. Keep in mind, Full Heal has a 55-second cooldown timer, so you're not gonna be able to use it as often as something like a Fluffy Tail, which, you know, obviously it doesn't have the same type of utility. But keep in mind that you're gonna be using this like once a minute. Next, we have Goal Getter. Goal Getter is another great item for junglers. People running jungle, especially like on a Dodrio build, a Gradient build, Sableye, even somebody like a Cinder or a Decidueye. The amount of speed you have can definitely like benefit that goal getter, and you can honestly like set your team ahead just by popping the early goals like pretty early just by using the goal getter. Do keep in mind it's a 75-second cooldown timer, so you're gonna be a minute and 15 seconds. So you're really gonna need a plan when you're using your goal getter and use it properly. Next we have potion. Potion, this is the most goated battle item in my opinion. I don't really use anything else. I mean, sometimes I'll use an X speed, sometimes I'll use an X attack. I've used Shedinja Doll. I mean, I've used everything, but me personally, potion is my bread and butter, my favorite. I run a lot of health on most of my builds, especially like my carry builds for like solo queue. So like potion right here, 30-second timer. So every half a minute, you're able to restore some of your health. It says here in the description that it restores some of your HP, 20% of your max HP plus 160. You can slap this thing on any Pokemon. This will save your life so many times. And if you get strategic enough with it, you can definitely use it to keep yourself in an engagement for longer than you should even be there. We'll talk about stuff like that later on in the series, but useful, man, useful. Another one I used to use a lot when I used to play a lot of Kramer. I used to play a lot of Pokemon that were kind of slow. Not that Kramer is slow, you can build him to be fast, but I really just built him out for special attack. And then also he's like a mage type, so I really wouldn't like run him with any like super speed builds. I did run him with X speed a couple of times, but I can say for absolute certain, oh, another Pokemon, Aegislash. Aegislash does really well with a slow smoke. Any Pokemon that's like close range, their moves have a lot of damage and crit, but they don't really have a lot of mobility. Slow smoke, if you can run slow smoke on like Urshifu and really dominate. If you ran them on a Dragonite, which I personally have only tried a couple of times, I did have success with it. Personally, it's not my way of playing Dragonite, but man, does it work. And yeah, I mean, let's go over some of the details here of slow smoke. So slow smoke is going to be a 40-second cooldown timer. It creates a ring of smoke around you, obviously, greatly slowing enemies by 80% and slowing attack speed by 50% within the area. It's got a 2-second duration is what it reads. So definitely a very useful item, especially at the right time, especially with team coordination. One of the best items, definitely, for sure. All right, next up we have X attack. All right, kind of have a lot to say about X attack. I used to hate it, resent it, because I would see only attackers running X attack. This is back in early Pokemon Unite days. For whatever reason, it seemed like only attackers and speedsters would run X attack, which, like, when you think about it, makes no sense. Like, you're giving yourself absolutely no, like, usable, like, utility. Like, I mean, okay, say, if you, alright, I'm gonna have to go into another aspect of Pokemon Unite to kind of explain this, but think about it like this. Think about if you don't have your emblems and your held items fully leveled up, you using something like X attack doesn't even really do you the service that you're thinking it does, because you don't even have like a full level of like attack power. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you have to keep in mind that there are people who have been there are people with 9,000 battles. I have so many people on my friends list, and I just look at them like, how how do you play so much? Because there's people who have so many battles and they might not even be good, but their game experience is so much better than yours. So using the right battle item, like, it makes a huge difference. Anyway, I ranted for a bit, but let's talk about what X Attack does. X Attack, 40-second cooldown, honestly pretty good. In the same range as like, you know, like Fluffy Tail and Potion. If you're using it right, this can be so useful for you. But please, you have to use it right. I will explain how in a second. So X Attack raises your basic attack speed by 25%. It raises your attack and special attack by 20% for a short time. It says 7 seconds duration. So think about this for a second. Using X Attack, it shouldn't just be when you see an enemy pop up. Using X Attack shouldn't just be because you're on a wild or say like an objective. Like, you should use X Attack when you're about to do a couple of things. If the enemy opposite you, like the enemy you're battling, right, the person that you're in range of, and also make sure they're in range. Do not use X Attack if they're not in range. You just look dumb. But keep this in mind. If they are not in range, from the time that you pop X Attack to the time you throw out all your actual attacks, like your first and second attack, like your full attacks, your actual like special attacks, you know what I mean? Your moves, okay? If you use this too soon before you use your actual attacks, or too early, you're gonna completely miss the damage that you could have done. Like, you have to keep in mind what you're trying to do is, if you're using it for attack speed, you're not doing the right thing. You should be using this right before you're about to use both of your moves, or your moves and your ult. If it's all of them together, even better. But preferably, you at very least want to make sure that you're using this right before you're about to execute your actual moves. The reason for that is because you want to capitalize on all the damage, because you gotta wait another 40 seconds for it to come back. So you use your moves and then you capitalize on the attack speed that it gives you, and you clean them up. Normally you want to try and use X Attack when they're at like, say, like half health or something like that, so you can get a guaranteed finish. Or say you're pressing the other team, you've got 3, they have 2, and you're pushing hard, maybe you might pop it then. Say you're trying to possibly finish an objective, like you have enemy team coming around you, you want to get in quick and finish objective. Same thing for Rayquaza. Any of these scenarios are good, but use it mindfully. Do not just pop your X Attack just to show off, oh, I'm using X Attack. And it is highly debatable whether you should use it on wilds or not. Like, especially like when you're first coming out of the gate, if you know that your damage is going to be slightly lower, and you want to just get some extra damage on the first wild so you can get your level higher. I mean, it really all depends. Make sure you have a strategy though for X Attack, because X Attack can be completely useless without a strategy. It's literally like the only, I want to say it's like the only battle item that can be completely useless without a strategy. Like, because you can literally just waste it over and over again. But that's it for X Attack. Okay, now let's get into X Speed, baby. Nah, this is my shit for real. X Speed is a beast. Let me tell you about X Speed. X Speed can get you out of situations, into situations. It can get you across the map. It can get you down the map if you need to score last minute for the game. It can sometimes, if you use it at the right time, get you into an engagement, score, and out of the engagement while you still have X Speed popped. Listen, guys, X Speed is my bread and butter. X Speed is my favorite battle item. X Speed is the battle item you should use. I'm just saying. Anyway, between X Speed and Potion, I really don't use much else. Every once in a while, I'll use X Attack. I've been using X Attack on Gyarados this season. I occasionally will use X Attack on Cinderace, depending on his build. Right now, the build I'm using for Cinderace is Rapid Fire Scarf, a basic attack band, or whatever they call it. And what's the other one? And Drain Crown. Drain Crown on Cinderace, gnarly. Anyway, getting off topic. X speed is where it's at. Let's read it. X speed says right here, 50-second cooldown, which I'll be honest, that's pretty high. You have to be relatively strategic to use X speed properly, okay? However, when you use it, it's doing a lot for you. So it raises your movement speed by 45%, which is almost 50%, which is kind of insane. And you become immune to move speed reduction for 6 seconds. So if you get caught up in a slow smoke, or you're trying to run through a slow smoke, if you're getting debuffed by, I think Ho-Oh's new early move slows you down, like Eldegoss with her Leaf Tornado, the Sludge Bomb, or Sludge Smoke, whatever they call it, that's Venusaur's move. Fucking certain Pokemon that attack you and hit you and give you speed debuffs, like Theraora, Alolan Ninetales, Mamoswine. Like, dude, you're gone. You take X speed and you're gone, okay? One of the best. Finally, we have Shedinja Doll. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I haven't really been able to make it work. I mean, no. I haven't really been able to make it work. I've used it a couple of times on a couple of Pokemon where I was like, this is kind of working. And those Pokemon, it was like, I think I used it on Comfey. Then, I mean, it was slightly helpful. I really just used it for whenever the Pokemon I was hung around would get killed, and then I would just kind of just sit there and wait for somebody to save me. Let's read what Shedinja Doll does. Shedinja Doll makes you impervious to damage and immune to status conditions, but leaves you unable to act for 2 seconds. So basically, it's like a substitution from Naruto. Like, you turn into this doll, and then you can't really move, but also you're not taking damage. You can use this to avoid taking damage from an ult sometimes. You could also use it, I guess, like Eject Button to avoid taking damage from like a high damage move. But 45-second countdown on that, okay? So it's not the worst. It's not the best. But personally, I don't see the use in it. Unless maybe you're no. Personally, I wouldn't use Shedinja Doll. If you figure out how to use it, please do let me know. I need a tutorial because, man, yeah, I don't use it. Anyway, that was it. Thanks for joining me for this long ass video. Probably gonna make some more on the topic. Didn't think this video was actually gonna be this long, so definitely gonna have to make some more. The next one's probably gonna be on either held items or emblems. Not even gonna get into the actual Pokemon. Probably gonna do some deep dives on like all the individual Pokemon themselves, because after giving you guys this information, I'm realizing that like there's so much stuff that can be left out, and there's so much like nuanced information about like the Pokemon and stuff like that that has to be like, I guess, like imparted on like new players, because the game, I don't know if the game's growing or not. It seems like the community's growing for the game, so I want to do my part to give you guys the information that at least I have. And sorry about that. Okay, and that basically concludes the tutorial on battle items. I'm not sure why I chose battle items to start with, but I thought it was going to be the shortest. That video was actually so long. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Hopefully you enjoy the information. I'll be coming with a held item video next, most likely. I think I said earlier, possibly Pokemon emblems. No. no idea which. Likely gonna be held items first. But anyway, enjoy.